two people.
Hi.
Okay, here we go.
Oh, sorry.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello.
How you doing?
So good.
Welcome back to the Wine About Birth podcast. We are three birth professionals,
I'm best friends.
and we're here to talk about what it's really like to live in the world of birth.
It's not all glitter and rainbows.
Or as we like to say, it's a lot more shit than giggles. I'm Kim Haynes, midwife at a busy birth center and home birth practice.
I'm Meredith Ralph, also midwife at the same home birth practice.
And I'm Jess McKee. I'm a doula for clients in and out of the hospital, and also a birth assistant with you guys at our awesome out-of-hospital practice.
We don't even know how to say just home birth practice. Like, we have to add some kind of...
I did.
I know.
I said it.
I had to drag it out there. I was like, home birth practice.
Home birth practice.
Whatever it is, we just don't deliver in the hospital.
No.
But we do deliver.
Every time.
Hot and ready.
Actually, that's the opposite of what this episode is about.
Yes.
I actually did not deliver every time.
Apparently, lately we've been like one of those pizza delivery places where it's like the baby comes out in 20 minutes or your money back.
Yeah, no.
Oh, I'm not going to do that.
No.
No, it's also the
But
opposite.
I will miss it.
Yeah.
feel real bad about it.
Yeah.
But also be really thankful for the sleep.
Sometimes we miss births, and we're going to talk about that. But Meredith, we were so excited.
Oh,
You had a prenatal yesterday.
It was so nice.
Your 28-week.
28-week visit, and she did get my blood the first time, and she crushed it.
Awesome.
Why would I not? Did I not get it the first
I
time?
was just making.
I
No, we
took
were
your
just
blood
making.
the
You
first
took it,
time.
right?
Yeah.
Because you were wasted.
Oh, yeah, I drank too much.
No,
I did that.
We were laughing because last time when she took it, you told her that it was a tendon. And
Oh,
so I
yeah.
was waiting for you to just like hit my tendon
There's-
this time.
There's a vessel that feels like a tendon to me every time.
Yeah,
It's
I know what you're talking
It's
about.
always the one Jess goes for, and she gets it every time. But to me, I'm like, no,
Yeah.
that's not a vessel. And she's like, yeah, huh?
Well, Meredith, in Kim's defense, you have done that to me too. There was one time, remember when we went to draw that client's blood, and you missed her once, and so then I tried, and I was like, go right here, and you're like, that's where her tendon is, and I was
I
like,
didn't do that.
it is not.
Sounding.
You're just so good at drawing blood, even
I
though you
know.
never do it.
So, well, this is the thing. It's like riding a bike.
Never
I
forget.
was a nurse at a doctor's office for like 5 years,
Yeah.
and I drew blood on like 30 people a day.
That's
so just you get used to it,
Oh,
and the
yeah.
people I drew blood on usually were much more difficult because I like old people and like cancer patients and people with impossible blood. So pregnant
Yeah.
people are easy.
Easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, since our
Except for when they're
BFF...
dehydrated and been in labor for 3 days. Those are never fun.
Oh, that's terrible. Yeah, we had a mom in labor recently who needed an IV, and it took a couple times.
Ugh, hate that.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
she was super dehydrated. Well, since our BFF Nicole debacle of the blood draw, I have made it my mission, and I will freaking
Oh,
get
that's
in
right.
there.
It wasn't. Wait, was that you that I drew the blood with for Nicole?
That was me.
Oh, it was her. She said it was a
So she's
tendon.
Twice.
2 for 2 for the tendon.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's what I said. There's always
It was
that
not
one,
you.
that one little vessel, and I'm like, that's a tendon.
It's not a tendon.
Feels like a tendon.
Well, you got me
Anyway,
good.
I did.
But as she was poking me with the needle, she decided to start a conversation. I was talking about this weird epigastric pain I've been having underneath my ribs on the right side, and I'm like pretty sure it's biliary like gallbladder issue stuff. And so I wanted her to draw an extra tube on me so I could like rule out that my gallbladder was like exploding or something, right?
Was not exploding or was exploding?
Well, either way, I just wanted to know what was going on. So she's stuck a needle in my arm. My handle blood draw's fine, but obviously it's not pleasant. And as we're doing this, she's like, you know, I had a client that had that same pain, and you know, I ended up being endometriosis. And did you know that endometriosis is like all over your body? And I was like, well, I always think of endo as like a lower pelvic pain
Nuh-uh.
discomfort. And she's like, no, it goes in your abdomen, it goes in your lungs,
Your heart.
it goes in your heart and your
It's spread
brain.
everywhere.
And she's just like she's got a needle in my arm, and she's just spiraling down. She's like, yeah, and then they do like autopsies on people, and they die from it in their brain.
I didn't say that.
Yes, you did.
I said they die and then they find it in their brain, probably unrelated. Also, did you...
Is that like people who die with COVID but not from COVID?
So-
Right, exactly. The same, exactly.
So all of a sudden, I have moderate epigastric pain too. I am dying from endometriosis in my brain.
But did the
And I was just like, holy shit, I'm so thankful that I'm a healthcare provider and I can just know Manic Kim is in the room right now. And like, this is insane.
But did the blood draw bother you, or were you more worried about dying from brain endometriosis? It worked.
So her bedside manner wins.
Bedside manner for the win.
In my mind, I was totally calm. I just thought it was fascinating and wanted to share that information with you.
I felt like I was just like sitting there with my mouth hanging open, like, oh my god, is this what she's telling people?
Well, I didn't see that because I was fully focused on that vein that I hit, and I didn't want to blow it, so I wasn't looking at you.
It's just great because you've been giving me such a hard time for being almost in this pregnancy, so the fact that you were just adding other things for me to complain about potentially was making me laugh, so it's been fun.
You're welcome.
I have found over the years of me being alive that there are some things that I find super intriguing and that I'll have a conversation about, just like, this is super interesting.
Yeah.
Don't you think this is super interesting?
But
And I'll go into details about it, and they'll be like nodding, but in their brain they're like, oh my god,
You're not
what is
hell?
wrong with
You're
her?
not reading the audience at all.
And why does she think this is okay to talk about? And I'm like, how is it not okay to talk about?
You start talking to anybody who's pregnant about potential pregnancy complications. It's a really bad idea.
There are times where we fail to read the audience, but do you ever look up after failing to read the audience to realize you did fail to read the audience, but it's gone too far, and now you're like,
yeah,
you have to like own it.
No, then you're like, now I just have to fully commit.
Or
say you're drunk.
or just, no, well, that doesn't work at work.
Or you could be
work
like,
at work.
or it's nothing.
Have you seen this movie lately?
Well, just so you know, I did not Google endometriosis afterwards. I was like, I'm not feeding into that bullshit.
So I wanted a little story about that, which I can't imagine myself saying this, but apparently a couple years ago, I went to the brewery recently, and one of the bartenders...
Really? That's weird.
Yeah, I never go there. It was one of the times I've gone there, like, once or twice in the past year.
Mm-hmm.
But the bartender was like, this girl came in the other day, and she pointed at you, and she goes, do you know her? And she was like, yeah, that's Jess. She's here all the time. And she goes, oh,
The
man.
1 or 2 times a year that you're there.
Yes. And I must have been drunk when this happened, because I cannot imagine myself saying this. So I must have been off call. And she said, I came in here 2 years ago, and I was talking to her, and I said that I was pregnant, and she looked up at me, and she goes, well, good luck with that. And apparently...
Oh, you were in a mood that day.
Apparently, she was super offended.
Oh,
super
funny.
offended. And so, but then she came back, this is like 2 years later, and she goes, do you know what, though? I had this kid, and I realized that was
right.
the best piece of advice anyone gave me. And now anytime anyone tells me that I'm pregnant, that's what I say.
Yeah. To pray for luck. That was your
You
advice.
had to hold on for dear life.
It's like, my kids must have really been annoying me.
Uh-huh.
Because usually I try to be really nice to pregnant women due to my profession.
Right. Putting on your fake smile like, oh, good.
That must
Good
be
job.
fun for you. I'm going to have another sip of beer.
Which you can't have.
I'm really glad you're pregnant and not me.
So, pregnant people, we have an out-of-hospital practice.
Good luck with that.
Good luck with that.
Best wishes.
And every time we are talking to some of our clients, we always have to go over, usually what is it, like the 36-week visit?
Yeah.
We go over what to do if the baby's coming so fast that the midwives aren't making it.
And we were just talking about how we've already done at least 2 episodes on precipitous birth. So
Yeah.
here we are doing our almost, I guess, well, mine weren't necessarily precipitous, but there are a couple in there. So like our 3rd precipitous labor birth is like our episode. It's like, damn, like we are crushing this.
Kicking it with the
Yeah, our
precipitous-
moms
We are
are
so
amazing.
good at our job.
Okay, the reason she's saying that is because, not because it's us, because we're making the moms so comfortable
I was feeling so confident
and
in
so
their
confident in
bodies.
themselves that they're just not calling us in time.
I'm very obviously being very sarcastic.
So, yeah, why don't we say, like, our little spiel that we give to everybody when we're talking about what to do if the baby comes too fast?
I don't wanna.
Why?
I was just thinking about when I was using a banana to give the spiel to somebody, and it was really
A
inappropriate.
banana? That's what you use in sex ed to show how to put
I
on
know,
condoms.
and then I
Or
had to show them.
circumcision talk.
I had to show them how to do postural drainage, so I was stroking a banana. And then I, of course, had eye contact with the dad while I was doing it. And then we just lost it. It was
Oh
gone.
my God.
That was
No.
the end of my informative
The
educational
only thing
conversation.
The only thing that could have been worse than that was if it was an eggplant you were using.
Yes, or a cucumber. Like, there's so many opportunities there.
Eggplant emoji.
I mean, so like so what we tell our moms is if a precipitous labor is happening, it means everything is going really well.
Yes.
And we try to make sure that their partner or their spouse or whoever's going to be attending the labor with them is there also for this conversation, because everybody needs to hear this, right? In that moment, like, feel your feet, everything's going well. So we just tell them everything's going good, take a deep breath. Please put us on speakerphone so we can at least hear what's going on. And if you want to video chat us, you go right ahead. We would be happy
No
to.
one's ever done that.
I've done it. I think it's happened once.
Oh.
And then at that point, we just talk about how it's normal progression. Sometimes it can take a minute for the shoulders to deliver after the head, and make that really normal for people. And then we just say clean and dry when they get out, because most babies, when they're coming out that fast, don't really need a lot of support or help at that point.
Dry and warm.
Yep. Or clean. Yeah, probably not clean. Clean's a big goal for everybody after a birth. Dry and warm.
Probably the reason why people don't video chat us is because in those moments, there's so much going on.
There's so much adrenaline.
Yeah, I remember one time it was happening to me because I was with a doula client, and she went from like 0 to 100 in like 2 contractions, and I was like, oh my god, we've got to go now. And so I was like, and I'm going to ride with you in your car, which I don't usually do, but if it looks like the baby might come out on the way, then I do. And so on the way, her baby starts crowning and the head is starting to come. So I'm trying to like give her like support with her sweatpants. And I'm trying to like call the hospital with my phone at the same time. It was very stressful.
I have to say, like, even though I'm grateful for precipitous births and what they mean, they stress me out. Like, I have to say, like, the last 3 births that we had were really, really stressful.
I feel like it's stressful. It's stressful for the partner, for one.
Yes.
And sorry, go ahead.
Well, and the mom, but for some partners handle it really well and they actually like get all pumped up by the adrenaline. But
Yes.
I find that the moms, then it's like it happens so fast, your body isn't expecting it. So then it takes them longer to process that they had given birth.
Mm-hmm.
The postpartum to me is usually longer because they're like, what in the
Well, because
hell?
you have to get them off the bathroom floor usually, and they don't want to get off the bathroom floor. Like, they just went through a tornado, and they're like, I just need to be here for a minute. But I also want to say, too, most of our moms don't love precipitous births either. Like, they're so fast that you can't get on top of anything that's going on. Mm-hmm. And so most women wish they had, like, a longer to integrate what was happening. But I have to say, like, what I say during our spiel, too, is I tell the dads, like, even like, you see the dads, like, turning white. Like, they're just, like, not into it. They're not interested in doing that at all.
They're like, I do not want that.
They, like, refuse to do it, right? But I can't think of a single time where I haven't had a partner be really, really proud of themselves and be really, like, proud of the experience, because it's like such an amazing opportunity to, like, trust your partner's body and also trust yourself to be able to handle that kind of, like, unexpected situation.
I don't know. We had that one birth where we all missed it, and the dad was, like, very quiet for the entire. Do you remember that? That was postpartum.
Right.
I got there first, and I pulled in. And
Yeah, it took him a really long time to even look at us.
Yes.
But he also just, like, he did what we
Was I there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You came for the postpartum. This was, like, a couple years ago.
He did what we do when we, like, sneak away to do laundry. Like, he went and snuck away and, like, took a bunch of time to himself to, like, come down from it.
Yeah,
It's a
that's
lot.
true.
Not everybody is meant to do, like, exciting work like that.
Yeah.
Well, not meant to do it, but everyone fucking does it when they have to.
Well, it's a
crazy.
huge adrenaline rush, and then coming down from that adrenaline rush. I mean, it's not a huge adrenaline rush for us anymore, but I mean, it is, but not as much as if you're a partner who's not expecting that. Like, your adrenaline is flying if you have to, like, catch your baby and there's no one there.
Also, if I had to, like, help a cow come out, I would have to call someone and be like, this is what I'm seeing, this is what I'm seeing, this is what I'm seeing.
Yeah.
I would have no idea.
Yeah.
So even if they're completely amazingly calm and, like, up to the task, if they've never seen a birth or I mean, who's really paying attention when your kid is coming out the first time?
Even if you've seen one, to have to, like, switch your gear and, like, be the person is totally different.
I always tell them that there are 2 options if they start pushing, they can call and I'll talk them through it, or they can always call 911 if they feel hospital, that they want someone there immediately. That there's no wrong decision in that part. I just remind them that they'll have to sign a waiver if they don't want to go to the hospital. Yeah.
Have you ever had anybody call 911 though?
Yes.
Okay, I was gonna say, I don't think I can think of a time where that happened.
Well, the one did call 911. That was kind of silly when we missed when we were on vacation.
We were camping. Yeah.
But it was because she was on her way. But then
she was also early, right?
Yeah, she was early, but she still made it to the hospital in the ambulance, so they would have made it. But how are they to know that? But I did have a mom who lives in West Virginia, and she was probably 45 minutes away from my house, and she called to say she was pushing or something. She had no idea she was about to have a baby. So I said, you can call 911 if you would like, and they did, and they ended up with an all-woman squad.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I could hear they're all cheering her on, and they were taking care of her. Just all these little things that we would do for each other that, no offense, but a squad of men, there's no way in hell it would have looked like that if it was a whole bunch of dudes in charge of she was comfortable with a pillow behind her head.
Lady tried.
And she was like, I told her not to cut that cord. I said, don't touch the cord. Like one of the women was saying.
Yeah.
And I was like, good job, you. She's like, yeah, I read a book once about that or something. Whatever it was. And I was like, right on.
They also were probably and it's one of those things for us to worry about. So.
Yeah. But yeah, I think as long as they know, yes, things are probably going great. I will say I had a moment. It's just one of the story. I've missed a couple of births in the last couple of months, but the birth is usually fine. I always do a sigh of relief when the baby comes out.
Yes.
Because do you ever have that long, you've been on the phone with people before.
Yeah.
I've been on the phone with
the births that I did this past week. It was awful.
Yeah, it's between 10 and 20, I think I've done on the phone. And it's when the head comes out, I'm holding my breath.
Yes.
Until they're okay, the baby's out. I'm like,
Some of the clients, if things are going that quickly, dystocias and things like that aren't super common.
Right.
But obviously you can't guarantee that that's not going to happen. Also, I want to say, too, that, when I made the comment earlier about us being so good at our jobs, I was, mostly making a jab at myself because I think only one of the births for me that I missed 3 births last week, and only the first...
Are you even trying?
I know! And the first one was precipitous. But the second and the third one, they weren't precipitous. They just, were not communicating about what was going on.
Yeah.
So I just, by the time they finally got me on the phone to, come, the mom was already, pushing or had the baby already. And so, anyways, I think I'm just when I say that, it's also we make our parents feel so comfortable with birth that they don't even need support.
We got this.
I will say, I do want to go over what you said about the cord, because I have so many people who don't do birth work, ask questions, and that's one
about
of the most common questions, or you'll even see it on videos on the internet, the firefighter came in and saved the day by taking off his shoelace and tying off the cord. And I'm like, bullshit!
Oh, so you don't mean necessarily nuchal cords. You just mean cutting the cord after the birth itself.
And that's one of because in our culture that they cut the cord immediately after birth, and so people are like, well, what do you do about the umbilical cord? It's leave it alone.
What?
It can stay attached after the placenta comes out. There is no time limit on when you need to cut that.
I like
sucker,
to tell them they can
shouldn't.
chew through it if they want. But it's not necessary.
And also, if they chew through it without clamping it and it's not done,
that would be a bloodbath.
There's going to be blood everywhere.
Terrible idea.
Also, it's going to introduce germs into the umbilical cord. You really want that to be
Jess
sterile.
is just going to start laundry listing all the reasons why that's so inappropriate.
But also, it's so inappropriate for firefighters to tell people to tie cords off with shoelaces because those are also non-sterile, and bacteria can get into a baby's body that way.
Don't touch the cord.
Don't touch the cord.
One of my clients got me really hooked on that Dr. Quinn Medicine Woman show. Really into it. I love that show so
from
much.
The 90s?
Yes, it's so great. So, but they had a birth scene in it the other day, and they're out in the woods. No one's helping them. She's doing it by herself. It's unexpected, and the baby comes out, and the husband's freaking out because the baby's not breathing. And she's like, well, cut the cord. They'll breathe then. Oh, and the dad's full on panicking. And she's like, look at me. Cut the cord and they'll breathe.
That's not true.
Yeah, but also, the baby went out for 2 seconds. That cord was not done pulsing, right? No. So, bloodbath, right?
What?
Second off, the
baby's getting oxygenated
I'm pretty
blood.
sure they didn't clamp it off first. and because they're in the woods in the middle of nowhere.
Well, they
and then all
did
of a
not
sudden,
do their
and all of a sudden
research.
the baby starts crying, and I was like, oh my
Oh,
god,
come on.
people actually in the 90s like and today think that this is normal. Like that's like some
But we're not
mainstream-
talking about birth. You know, you
Yeah.
don't learn about birth in school.
No, it's true. I just couldn't get over it because they do a fairly good job in that show. I feel like of doing their medical research, but that was just like, are you fucking kidding?
They did not want to extend the budget for the birth story.
Yeah.
I did not.
So if the baby comes fast, warm and dry, and leave the cord alone.
Leave the cord.
Leave
I always
the
tell my
cord
clients
alone.
like, don't worry about the cord. I'll get there and handle that. You
Yeah.
just focus on the baby.
What
Yeah.
about the cord? It's fine.
So
Yeah.
why don't we dive in
Like a muff. Kim won't say it anymore.
and
Kim's done with that.
talk about and share some of our birth stories that we have missed recently.
So, I don't know which one is first.
Well, chronologically it'd be yours, but if you want to start with the one we missed together, we can either way.
Well, I was
When
gonna
we miss a birth, we miss it together.
we don't always miss a birth, but when we do,
We do it together.
at the box. I don't know what happened. I'm kidding. We do not drink while we're on call. We're not allowed.
I'm pregnant. I have a cop out now.
Well,
so.
I asked if I could tell the very short birth story of my four-time mom.
Yay!
And that
was
was
this your
6
first
weeks
time
ago.
that you've done the fourth baby for a mom?
No, Marielle and I had 4 together.
That's right. Okay.
Hi.
Have you not told this story yet?
No,
Oh, funny. It's been
I haven't
a long
heard
time.
any. I haven't told birth stories in a couple of months. I
Yeah.
probably had. I don't even know how.
Well, we
many.
took a break, and then
Oh,
we've
yeah.
only done 2 episodes since then, and we didn't share any birth stories in our transitions episode. So.
And hers was 6 weeks ago, and I haven't
Yeah.
told any since then.
I
But
was just thinking we were doing a lot of birth story episodes, so that makes me feel better that we haven't
Yeah.
done one in so long.
I need to pause so I can just look at her chart real quick.
Okay, we'll pause the video too.
I'm pausing. I just got to get the phone call right.
Oh yeah, I thought you were gonna hit the stop button.
Just like launching on
So I just love this couple so much because I met them several years ago, and we've had, up until then, this last birth, we had 3 babies together, but they're just like that couple that you look at and you're like, oh, it does work out really well for some people. Like you
It is
chose,
possible.
you chose wisely. You know?
Also, what was I thinking?
Like
I chose poorly.
yeah, I was not talking to you.
Any eye contact she made with you during that was incidental.
It was more sarcastic than incidental. So when they got pregnant again, of course, I was like super excited, and I made sure that any trips that we were taking were like nowhere near her window. But anyway, her labors had gotten faster and faster as the babies went on, and the last birth, it was kind of like a lull, and I was like, just take a nap, but then her water broke and the baby came right out. So my fear for this 4th baby was that she would wait too long to come in and her water would break. And so we had gone over all of those instructions.
Yeah.
Like, listen, don't get in your car if you're starting to feel pushy. It's fine. Like, I'll come to you. You're not that far. But anyway, they're so amazing. And their family is just like, every time they have a baby, they give me the most thoughtful gifts. And she's the one that
so
gave me
sweet.
the cookbook that I cook from all the time.
Oh, nice.
Literally the only cookbook I use ever
I mean,
in
do
my
you need
entire
like 20
life.
cookbooks?
No.
I don't think I've ever used a cookbook.
Well, do you cook?
Yeah,
No.
I just
What? That's unheard of.
You're a sauteer. You just like to
I
saute.
just
Oh.
like mix stuff together, or I have things I know how to
I
make.
can't do-
and
I
they just
can't.
get repeated.
Food to
Rinse,
me is
repeat.
like chemistry. It's like, how do you know if they go
Do you
together?
remember for Evie's birthday, that's what she did for her birthday? She got a book from her library and picked out that soup recipe.
Oh.
That was her birthday, right?
No, I think we just did it.
Oh, I thought that was her birthday. Anyways, that was
When
so
we met
sweet.
the rosé.
It was like a pink
Yeah,
potato soup.
yeah, it
or
was so
something.
delicious.
It was so sweet.
Well, not anymore. I just use this cookbook. It's Hope's Table. That's what it's called.
Oh.
I use it all the time. So they called me. I mean, she had some labory stuff going on the night before, but then I didn't hear from them. So I thought it was just prodromal because she has like a ton of prodromal labor. But at like 1 a.m, they called to say that her contractions were still only 4 to 8 minutes, but she was feeling a lot of pressure. And I was like, warning. I thought that maybe her water was like bulging.
Yeah, because I was going to say,
and-
48 minutes, you wouldn't necessarily assume that they're feeling pushy or anything at that point.
No, but with the pressure, I'm like, okay, so I almost had to convince them to get in the car.
Yeah.
You know, and he's like, I don't know, like, she's fine in between. It's just, and I was like, no, I really think that given your history, we should just go.
Everybody's fine in between.
Everyone's fine.
That is like a theme of precipitous labor, is like it tends to be the women who don't realize they're in labor.
Yeah. And she knew, she did feel that she was in labor. She knew she was in labor, but she just couldn't figure out like why, I guess, they were so far apart. But in my mind, as soon as she got to the center and was comfortable, things would pick up.
Yeah.
So I kind of like half convinced them to just go ahead and get in the car. And I'll call Katie, because Katie was there with me for all of her other births as well. So it was like super exciting for both of us.
And I feel like when you get that clarity as a provider, you like have to like listen to
Yes.
that, because it doesn't happen for every birth.
Right.
So like when you do get that, you're like, I gotta
in the car.
Yeah, gotta convince you that this is the right thing to do.
Yeah, so I was like, yeah, let's just go. So that was at 12:52
At night?
in the morning.
In the morning.
Yeah. So yeah, at night, middle of the night.
Okay. Yeah.
And then at 1:30, I think we agreed to meet in 45 minutes. Like, okay, I could be there in 40, because I was like just feeling the rush for some
Yes.
reason. Like,
At that point, you'd rather just get there. And
right.
Like, if you're
So
wrong
I
or
like
whatever.
got dressed and did all my thing, and that it was at 1:30. So just before, I guess they took a little longer. He said that her water had just broken, and they were on their way.
Oh
and
my
I was
gosh, like absolutely not.
wait. What?
This is what I was scared
And
of.
so I in my mind, I almost called him to say, don't leave your house, because I knew that the baby was going to come soon, but I didn't also want to panic him if she wasn't.
But
Like,
they were already on their way, or her water broke and then they were
did
getting
not
in the car.
clarify that. So water broke and they're on their way. And then I was like, okay, I'm just going to meet them in the parking lot. Like, we'll just wait for the parking lot. So I ran upstairs. I beat them there somehow. Obviously, she's in labor, so it took her a few minutes to get out of the house. But I ran upstairs when I got there. I started the tub because she loves to be in the tub, and I wanted it to be ready as soon as she got there, on the off chance that she made it to the tub. So they pull up in their van, and all the kids are in there. There was no time.
Well,
There was no time.
No wonder you beat them.
Right. There was no time for, they were meeting someone that was next to the center to take the kids, but there was no time for that. So they pull up, and I see her in the window, and I'm like, oh. Like, it
It's
came on. So I like run out, and the kids are all looking a little like, they're all wide awake, and they're like, I don't know what's going on. And I look at her, and I'm like, listen, can you make it up those stairs, or do you want me to put the bed down? And he goes, I will carry her. And I said, okay. So he picks his wife up. Mind you,
God.
cutest, sweetest couple on the planet. He scoops her up, and into the center they run. And then I just like,
Wow, he carried her and ran.
I mean,
I'm
as much as you could run holding another human being, he was running.
Like I said, when the adrenaline kicks in,
That's
you
true.
become a superhuman.
It's easier than picking up a car.
So when he runs up, I say, I'll stay with the kids. Just yell if you need me, and I'll come running. Like, the
Just
window's
go deliver
right
that
there.
baby. I'll take care of your kids.
And I think I did say something like, or just have the baby and let me know how it goes. So he's like laughing, running, holding her. He makes it up the stairs, and then I guess when they got up there, the water, I didn't realize he was putting her into the tub.
Oh my goodness.
But it wasn't
like
full
this much
yet.
water.
There was enough, and he just like laid her into the tub with fully clothed. But in she went, and then he came running back down. Meanwhile, I pop my head in. The kids are all looking like, what's going on? But then they see me, and they all just light up, which made me so happy. Because it's 1 a.m.
Yeah.
I just wanted to interrupt you and say that you just gave me like a huge picture of that scene in the movie Big Fish where he carries his dad down to the river.
Oh
and
my gosh, that scene.
Gently puts him into the water.
I think there was some differences, but probably a couple similarities.
That's what I was thinking.
I
of, though.
did not see
Now
that
you
movie.
continue.
So wait, you left the kids in the car. You didn't bring them into the center.
No. The people, their child care
like,
was
coming to meet
coming.
them. Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I cannot remember if he may have actually taken them to where they were going. I don't think so, though, because the baby came literally, let me see, like 8 minutes after she got to the center. So I think they must have just come and gotten the kids. But he left. Anyway, he comes back downstairs, and I'm joking with the kids. They're all like, ah! And then I run up, and she's in the water.
Oh, does she have does she still have a slip on?
She has like a long skirt on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
just
she's just in there. She's in there, and I was like, okay, well, and I can see in her face like the baby is coming.
Yeah, she's probably been trying to hold the baby in for a while at that point.
Right, because her husband had left the room.
Yeah, and
I was like, oh please let him get back here in time. Like, please don't stay down there for too long. And she goes, I went to get the Doppler. Hold on, I'm trying to remember how it went. So, okay, so he runs downstairs to check in with the kids, and I guess they must have just exchanged whatever because he made it right back up. And somehow I then ran downstairs and got her a glass of water. I don't know how we did all this.
Oh my god!
In 8 minutes.
That's when you just do the faucet on the top and you like stick your head up.
Yeah, here, drink from here. But the thing is, like, we had the three of us just have like a really good trust relationship, right? Yeah. So I knew he was okay.
Yeah.
And as long as he was next to her, she was fine.
Also, she didn't have her baby in the car, so at that point, it's a win, no matter who's in the room.
We're all winning. And so I knew, and I was like, are you okay? Yes. So then I run, and I'm like running around trying to get stuff. But so she, at 1:45, she says, and that was, reminder, 3 minutes after she got there. 3 minutes after she got there, he had already run her down the stairs, already come down. We switched. I somehow brought water up. In 3 minutes, we're all then back in the room.
And then you had like a quiet, peaceful 5 minutes.
And I can see it, and I was like, all right, well.
Welcome.
You have made it. Good job, both of you.
I'm going to put a little bit more water in this tub.
And she like smiles at me, and she says to me, and I state, the baby is definitely coming. Like in this slow, but she's like smiling. So I'm like, I know, that's why we're here, you know. So I go to reach for the Doppler, and her husband goes, oh, the head, oh, the baby's out. And I was like, what? And I'm like not even there.
Shot.
No, I'm like reaching to, I'm like, I mean, I might as well listen to the baby's heart tones while I'm here. Yeah. I might as well do something.
Why not?
But the baby had just come out when I stepped away, and I was like, okay. So we just like, he reaches down, and we all just kind of like hysterically laugh while we are picking the baby up. It was none of us saw this. I don't know why none of us realized it was happening.
She tried to tell you.
Right.
So calmly, though.
And then she's holding her baby, and she goes, oh my gosh, Kimberly, I can't believe that just happened. And then she just keeps laughing, and the three of us are just like laughing. Okay, well, good job. High fives all around.
All right, everyone, back in the car. Time to
go.
Goodbye.
And then Katie comes in, and she goes, oh. And I was like, listen, I missed it, and I was standing right next to her.
Yeah, there was no way.
It was just so amazing. So we just had the best, like, the postpartum, we just all laughed and joked and like told stories about our other birth and compared the times, and it was like, this is why I'm a midwife. Like women like this, families like this, like I just love them
all the
so
families, much. But these ones are the ones where it's like,
I mean, it's really special when you've had 4 babies with a family. That definitely stands out.
Yeah,
so
it made me so happy. So
basically, what you're saying is our first story was not actually about the midwife missing the birth.
No, my next one is, but
yeah. So it's time for us to go to break. But when we come back, we will tell some stories about when we actually didn't make it to the birth.
I mean, I technically missed it.
She
while
did
still
miss it.
in
Her
the
eyes
room.
were not looking at the birth itself.
True. I'll let it slide this time. Welcome back from that delightful break.
I had to push the button because Kim's too busy eating granola to care about our podcast right now.
That's true. That's a true statement.
I love how you're getting to the point in your pregnancy now where you're like rubbing your belly absentmindedly.
I would love to say that this is because of the baby, but it's not. It's because of my gallbladder.
Listen.
I feel like every time we talk about your belly, like you cannot take a compliment on your belly. You always.
I love my belly.
I know, but every time I'm like, oh my god, your belly looks so cute now. You go like this. I actually just didn't poop this morning.
There was like
I just
I have
rubbing
to
my
say, for the
stomach 'cause of
first
my
28
gallbladder.
weeks, the size of my belly was very dependent on whether or not I had poop in my body or not. Now that I'm actually showing, I feel very more confident that this is
I'm just waiting for one day when you walk in and I say, "Oh my God, your belly looks so cute." And you go, "I know, right? So cute.
I'll
Thank you."
practice that. I do love my belly, but mostly because I love what's in there.
Yeah.
I mean, no one loves that their intestines are now wrapped around their ribs.
I don't know. I think some people love the
God.
belly for just the belly.
I loved my pregnant bellies. Loved them.
Yeah.
I loved
not in love
everything
with-
about being pregnant. I'm in a very different state in my life now. And I would not love it anymore, but at that time in my life.
Do you think that's why some women develop beer bellies because of their old love for their pregnant bellies?
Because they drink a lot of beer.
Or because they had too many kids and they can't stop drinking alcohol?
Every once in a while when my belly is looking particularly big, I'll look down, I'll be like, oh, this is what my belly looked like at like 15 weeks. And I would like poke it out all proudly. And now I'm like,
suck it in! Put a wrap on!
get some Spanx on that sucker.
Talking nude. Well, I have a story too, and like I said, this one, most of the births I missed last week were not actually precipitous, but were due to communication. I don't want to say errors, because they all worked out beautifully.
What we have here is a failure to communicate.
So I'm terrible. I'm not like him. Whenever I tell birth stories, I never look at time.
I don't usually, but the two I'm telling, it's just, they're just so special to me, and I didn't want to get something wrong. Not that the rest aren't.
Yeah, you were just keep on digging this hole.
I'm digging a
special
hole.
Births.
Listen.
Sorry. So anyway, so I got a text from a client, like some point really early in the morning, probably like 5 or 6 in the morning, that she's been having contractions since like 5:30, and they were like every 5 to 7 minutes, lasting 40 seconds. So it's like, okay, like this sounds legit. Like, let's keep in touch. Like, sounds great. And
Did you miss that text?
no,
Okay.
no, because I've been waking up so much now, I don't really miss texts anymore. So, I was like, and she, like, is in a life situation right now, she doesn't have a ton of support. Like, so I asked her if she had contacted her doula to reach out to her, because it sounded like she wasn't able to sleep through them anymore, but she'd, like, eaten breakfast. Like, she was getting there, but, you know, especially, like, with somebody who has a little less support and has, like, a million children, it's always nice to have another buddy with you. And so, another person, which I will not do to you guys, I'll be by myself for as long as humanly possible.
Call me when I'm with clients before you
Little
get there.
buddy.
Is your buddy Jess there? Is your little buddy Jess there?
I know.
That's a new shirt. Call your buddy.
Oh man. So anyways.
Oh, at the last birth, Jess wore our t-shirts that we made 15 years ago.
You guys have to we have to take photos because you keep referencing that.
It wasn't
meant to.
actually at our last birth. I actually went to the birth center for a prenatal, and you guys were all upstairs doing skills drills. And I was wearing
that's
it.
right. I was not at a birth.
Yes.
You're right.
Anyways, it's
Weird. It all
the fact that
blends
you can
together.
still wear a t-shirt from 16 years ago.
She's literally the same size.
Yeah.
I would be squeezed in like stuffed German
Your boobs
sausage.
wouldn't make it. So, anyways, I encouraged her to call her doula, which she's like, oh, she's already here. So her doula was there by 9 a.m. So, like, I should have known that things were happening, but I just, like, assume my clients are going to keep me posted.
Well, if I have someone whose contractions are like even 5 minutes apart, but they're only 40 seconds, if they haven't asked me to come, I'm like, this could go on for another 20 hours, or it could go faster at some point. But if they haven't told me to come, I'm not like,
Yeah.
I should know at that
No,
point.
I feel the same way. So I mean, I feel fine with how things worked out, but in hindsight, I was like thinking about, I was like, I guess she did text me at like 5:30 in the morning, and I didn't really talk to her again until noon, which is a really long time. But I just assume people are gonna keep me posted.
That is a long time.
I mean, it is a long
But I knew her
time.
doula was with her. Like, I knew that I just kind of assumed that things either hadn't changed a lot or things had like kind of calmed down.
I've totally had clients who go quiet like that for a while, and then I'll reach out to them again randomly, and they'll be like, yeah, things just never change, or things quieted down, or if things get intense, they usually let you know.
And this was her third birth, but it was her
Usually.
first unmedicated birth without an epidural. So, I mean, even though it was taking longer, but then you'd expect for a third-time mom in terms of, like, her birth experience, it was a different experience. So, anyway, so I'm taking my dogs on a walk around lunchtime. I was like, okay, if I don't hear from her by noon, I'll call her. And so, of course, I'm, like, at the farthest point away from my house on my walk, which is really only, like, 20 minutes. But, of course, it was, like, the farthest point away. And I get a text from her doula. And it was like, hey, like, her contractions are every 2 minutes.
Oh.
And I was like, oh, well, how long have they been like that? And, like, how is she coping with them? And she was like, yeah, like, it's definitely getting more intense. And I was like, okay, well, I can head that way. Has she mentioned me coming yet? And then her response was, yeah, she's feeling pushy.
Oh, my goodness.
And I'm like 20 minutes away from my house.
Who is this doula?
So I love
Was that me?
her. No, I love her. So she's amazing. I didn't get permission to share her name, so I won't share her name. But she actually is a new doula. So she's actually just getting her sign-offs for her training still. But she had 8 home births. And because she's like...
Have I met her?
No, I don't
know
think
her
so. I never met her before. My client met her through her church. And so, but I didn't realize this part of the story. I knew she had 8 home births, but her midwives only made them to 2.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh.
So she'd had like 6.
So she's golden.
Yeah.
She's good.
She's so good. And so, but she was so calm in her text messaging. And I was like, okay, well, like, I'm on my way. But I had to walk the 20 minutes home. And then it's like a 40-minute drive.
Did you walk like...
Oh, it was icy too. It was like after all the ice, so I'm like with my dogs like slipping around with my belly, just like trying to get home as fast as possible. And so then but this is what I have to say. As much as I love precipitous births in many ways, this was probably one of the most stressful births I've had because I was on speakerphone in my car driving, and she pretty much started pushing like the second I called. So she pushed the whole time I was driving to Front Royal.
Wait. Third time mom?
Yes. But I have to say, I don't think she actually was like feeling the urge to push. It was like bearing into it, but she didn't actually start pushing hardcore until like maybe 10 minutes before I got there. So she actually only pushed, I think, maybe like 3 times, like hardcore.
Because
so,
I'm like, wait.
Yeah, no, but of course, in my midwife brain, I'm like, oh my gosh, like, why is she still pushing?
Exactly.
Yeah, like, it was not a good feeling to be driving there and wondering why this third-time mom has been pushing for 45 minutes, right? And so it was so stressful, and the mom, totally understandably, had her doula with her and, like, did not want to hear another voice in the background. So I'm like, I hear her, and like the mom, like I said, it was her first unmedicated birth, so I think it just like was as fast as it ended up going at the end. It really caught her off guard. So she was definitely like high pitched verbalizing, like yelling. And so finally I kind of like was trying to say to the doula, I was like, hey, can you tell her like deep and low to kind of like bring it down to try to like conserve
energy. Did she tell you to shut up?
Well, the mom was like, I can't handle that, and the doula was like, okay, bye. And I was like, wait, no, like, don't hang up. And so I hate texting.
Oh my god, they did hang up?
Yeah. And I like hate texting and driving. Like I do not do it. But I was like, you have to call me back. So I texted the doula, I was like, can you please just call me?
I know you didn't just hang up on me.
It was not like in any, she just like was protecting her client's space. Like I get it.
God.
But I couldn't handle it. I was like, I know you're feeling good about this doula, dear, but like I cannot handle not knowing what's happening until I get there. And so I texted her, I was like, can you please call me back? And the doula was like, yeah, I'll just put you on silent so she can't hear you. And I was like, that's fine. I don't really care. I just like want to hear what's happening. And so finally, and the doula was so sweet. Like, even though she was by herself supporting this mom in this very intense pushing phase, she kept like sneaking away every couple minutes or so and like checking in with me. So like, I'd be like, okay, like try deep and low. And then once she went deep and low, like you could really hear a difference. And it was amazing. It was so stressful, but I have to say, she handled it, the mom and the doula handled it so well. Like, there was a point where, because it's just, like I said, it was taking forever, so it just, like, she pushed 3 times and it progressed really quickly. So all of a sudden it was like, why isn't she having this baby yet? So all of a sudden the baby was there. Because I kept asking, like, can you see the baby's head at all? And the doula was like, no, I can't see anything. And I, like, even asked the mom to, like, I was like, can you reach up and feel what's happening? And the doula was like, she's not gonna do that. Like, she's like, I'm not even asking her to do that. And so all of a sudden the doula goes, oh, baby's head is out. I was like, oh, okay. And then without missing a beat.
How far away were you at that point?
5 minutes.
Oh, God.
And without even missing a beat, the doula says, okay, just usually there's a contraction before before the shoulders come out. That's really normal. And so, like, she literally said exactly what I would, or most midwives would say to a client when, you know, there's that weird pause that people don't always expect. And I was like, oh, she's got this. Like, I'm not worried at all. And then by the time I pulled in her driveway, I think the head was out, but the shoulders hadn't delivered yet. So I'm pretty sure I, like, walked in the door of her house as the baby came. And so I think I got up the stairs like a minute after, like not even a full minute after the birth.
That's awesome.
And apparently, I didn't know this part till afterwards, apparently the baby like started breathing on the perineum also. And so like everything was like good, but it was just like, it was a lot. And I hated it. I hated every moment of being stuck in my car, just listening and not being able to like say anything or
I can't, when that's happening, my mouth, I'm always like... smiling so
you're like faking it. You're like, I'm trying so hard to
it just makes me smile and laugh when these babies come so fast and the dads are like, you know, like,
oh
you see this? And like, or can you see the head? I don't know. There's too much hair.
yeah. Like it was like a whole thing. So that was a pretty unique experience for me of just feeling completely helpless in that situation. But it ended up being so beautiful. And that was definitely one of those moments where the mom was like, fuck that.
Yeah.
Like I just like needed a minute. Like we probably stayed on the floor for like a solid 15 minutes while she just like caught her breath, which I like totally get. But it was great. And then we had like and like her doula just like went so above and beyond. Like postpartum even was just like doing everything.
That's
like
awesome.
It was so good.
Did you go to that one as the assistant?
No, so her friend is a assistant.
Oh,
so
that's
she came.
right. That's right. Yes,
so she came.
Yes. Okay.
She got there maybe like 2 minutes after me. And so what unfolded is apparently the client had been texting her friend, the birth assistant, most of the day, which is like fine. Like I totally get it. Like they're friends. There's no like judgment in that at all. Like I would do the same with you guys, but you guys don't happen to be my birth team. But apparently her friend was like, wasn't sure she was even like in active labor yet. And so like she like even her friend when she walked in was like in shock also because she was like, I just totally thought you were struggling to cope with early labor. That's crazy. So it was just like a whole thing, but it was so good and it was like such a great team and
it's so awesome to hear when there's a good doula. Martha did that with our mutual client and I was like, you need to be a midwife.
Yeah.
Like the way that some doulas like they're gonna just keep on going.
Yeah. Like that's like I think that's why I didn't make it is because the doula was like, I got this.
Yeah.
Like I'm good.
Yeah.
And then she had like a little review because you have to get the provider who signs you off for your birth at that point. And like the little paragraph I could write about her was only this big. I was like, I'm gonna need more space than this. Like I have so many things I need to say about you. But it was so good and it's like so rewarding too. I feel like when you have those precipitous labors like that for those moms who like are so overwhelmed and like can't catch their breath. And postpartum just really struggle to be present with the fact that they just had their baby.
Yeah, it's hard to transition mentally when your birth is that fast.
And like, but you know, even if it takes like an hour, getting to witness them finally being like, holy shit, I did that. And then they finally start coming back into themselves a little bit more. Like that's really rewarding to witness too, I feel like, because it's really hard to like see somebody feel that overwhelmed even after it's done, right? And then they're finally like owning it more, and it's like, okay, good, like welcome back, like you were,
hey,
yeah. So it was really great.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, but very stressful. I would much rather have just been there, even if it was just like standing in the corner watching.
Yeah,
not enjoy being in my car driving.
You take for granted the things that you can see with your eyes or feel with your hands. So like relying on someone else to say those, you know what I mean? To say those things, you're like.
I know the stress when we had that client who was a first-time mom who all of a sudden like was like coming and they were in the car and I thought we were like, oh, I was stopping for coffee, like, first time moms.
Videoed the whole time.
I was like, first time moms, we're coming to the center, I'm gonna stop for coffee, and then like
abandoned the drive-through.
Yes. And then all of a sudden they're like, her ladder broke, I think she's pushing and she's a first time mom. And so then like I was like trying to like do my coffee and then like I was on speakerphone.
She did not abandon the coffee.
And then I like conference called Kim in.
Oh my god. We were all driving like 90 miles an hour in the middle of the night. It was raining and we're all like yelling at each other as quietly as possible. Oh, I'm going to say
like, you're doing such a good job.
Good job,
like,
you. and I'm like, maybe a little more high pitch so the baby doesn't come out in the car. I don't correct that when they're like trying to make it to the center. I let them scream.
Yeah, well, that's the thing though. This mom, like,
I'm sorry, I do, because if they're screaming high pitch, the baby probably isn't going to come as fast. So I don't stop that from happening.
Yeah, at 45 minutes, I was like, this baby needs to come. I don't know what's happening.
Could you shatter some glass for me with your voice real fast? Yeah. Also, I'm never going to tell my kids to stop yelling. I'm going to yell, "Stop vocalizing at a high pitch."
Yeah, they're gonna respond so well to that.
You said she was really yelling. Well, like vocalizing in a higher pitch. Yeah, that's what I'm. Stop vocalizing in a high pitch.
I was trying to kindly not acknowledge that she was panicking.
Who isn't panicking when a human being is coming out of their body?
True. That's
surprisingly
very fair.
A lot of people. It's like 50-50. Some panic, some are just like.
Some are panicking on the inside, but
I was gonna say almost everybody's panicking on the inside.
Yes, that's
like
very true.
Panicking.
They don't appear like it. So Kim, what's your next story?
All right, we might have to pause and then start again because the kids get off the bus in 4 minutes. I'm gonna have to walk down and get them.
You're literally the best, worst mom ever.
I know.
I'm pausing. It's 4 minutes? Oh, I thought they got...
So even though I wasn't at this birth that you're about to talk about, it's very near and dear to my heart because we actually told this couple's story. We're allowed to say their names, right?
Yes.
Okay, Dakota.
Well, technically Kim wasn't at the birth either, was she?
That's true.
Well, I miss it's Dakota and Jordan, and hey guys. They're like the literally cutest couple you've ever seen.
She texted me that you guys had your baby and it like made my whole life. I didn't even realize you guys were having another one. That's so great.
And it's just like the last story I told where their families are just like so amazing, and then they were all there postpartum, like all of their siblings, and oh my gosh, it's just so cute. But I missed her first birth because I was at another birth in the center, which is why I called you in.
Yeah, I forgot that you weren't there.
Well, but I didn't miss it. I ended up coming in at the end.
Yeah,
but,
I forget that's why I was there, though. I don't remember, because it's only been a year. It hasn't been that long.
No, like, they're only 14 months apart.
I still tell their birth story probably once a week in different
because
they're
contexts. So cute.
I know, but the story that I think most of our listeners will remember from them is... So they were in the birth tub together, and he is just like this adorable, perfect human. They're both adorable, perfect humans. Let's be honest, like they're unreal
like, in every way. They're
in literally every way humanly possible, and they're so young and so sweet. And so, as often happens when you're laboring, she was pooping in the birth tub, and these like tiny little cute, little, just like them, tiny little cute little thirdlets, just like him, would pull up to the surface. And he would be like, "Oh, sorry, my bad." Yeah, it keeps happening.
So he was like saying that he was the one.
He was taking the blame to like take the attention away from her.
It was so good, and like I have yet to have a dad ever do that. Like we don't really have dads in tubs anymore. I don't feel like generally.
No, they don't. Most dads do not get in.
And then most dads, if there's poop, they're usually like just try not to look at it. Like they're like, so for him to like own it that hard was just like absolutely perfect.
So I ended up coming in at the end to do that little thing I do when babies won't come out.
Mm-hmm.
Just the rebozo pulling. But either way, we got to be at their birth together. The Kim
maneuver.
I don't want to take, because
maneuver.
I don't want to do that thing where I take credit for something that people have been doing in other cultures forever. Mm-hmm. But this couple is so stinking adorable that they were madly in love. Even she's a year ahead of him. And I know I said this last time, but just a reminder.
It's just worth sharing.
How
so
cute
sweet.
they are. She went away to college, and he proposed to her, but she wouldn't marry him until he graduated. So when he got
just like really fair.
Yes. Let's wait and make sure you can commit to finishing your high school education. So when he got up, because I think he was valedictorian, so he got up to make his speech, and he ended up with like, "And tomorrow I'm getting married," and everybody was cheering, and it was just
From
like
high school or when he
high school, because she was in college, because he was like the cool kid dating the hot college chick,
They were super young, because I mean it wasn't much long after they had their babies, so they were super young,
and they're just so stinking cute. And so I got to really see their whole family, because she was supposed to have a center birth again, but she did not make it. And so all of her family came to her house.
And she had like the most perfect house too.
Oh,
do you
my
remember that
God.
when we did their post-farm visit? It was
Yes.
like, how does your house look so perfect?
Yeah.
And you're like 20 years old.
Well, it
Like,
was
come on.
decorated for Christmas this time.
Oh my god.
And so Katie and I sat there looking, and it was that game of, do you think that rug is always there or just for Christmas? Do you think that plate is always there or is it just for Christmas? Do you think she changes that out too or is it just for Christmas? And every single thing in that room was only out for Christmas.
Oh my goodness.
Everything was like black checkered with red like accent. Like it was
so crazy.
even the rug. And Katie goes, girl, that is a new rug. Like there's no wrinkles in it or anything. And so I waited and I'm like, listen, Dakota, you need to tell us, is this like just for, she goes, yeah, I
have a
did buy all
Christmas
of
problem.
that. Yeah. So then they have this little tiny
Hobby
storage.
Lobby is so affordable.
Oh, it was. It was like Hobby Lobby just threw up in there.
I
and
think
it was
I'm going to have
perfect.
to post a picture of what my house when I was 20 looked like because it's mind-blowing
just
that
had all
we
the
didn't get
tree.
more diseases.
No, I
I
know.
mean, we've heard the stories about what your hair looked like and the fact that you dumpster dived for food.
Yeah.
So you probably were not decorating for Christmas at Hobby Lobby.
How could we expect
No.
anything else?
I mean,
I had tapestries everywhere that lit up with like glow lights and stuff.
me and my housemates still talk about how we don't really know how our parents left us in the
No.
house.
No.
Like, I don't know how they walked away without dragging us home.
When
by
I
our
was 20,
hair.
I had an
Our
apartment
dreaded gross hair.
that was decorated with an assortment of Guinness flags and empty liquor bottles that were full of glowing liquid because we had drank the liquor.
That sounds more accurate. No, not Jordan and Dakota. Nuh-uh. They are like,
Have you ever met anybody who's got their shit more together?
no. And they're so stinking cute. So this postpartum, like their whole family, they were all just there. And I'm like, oh my God, listen, I'm not leaving. Not ever. I am now part of this
You've
family.
adopted me. Congratulations.
So how did the birth happen? What happened?
Okay.
Oh, yeah, so we are here to talk about birth.
I don't know because I missed it, as
Yeah.
I said, but she did that thing where she got up and was laboring alone,
Yeah.
letting him.
Oh, he was sleeping.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So he was asleep. Hold on, let me get, because when they happen this fast, I have to get the times right because it just cracks me up. So
I mean,
yes.
it is really good. I mean, I'm making fun of you for always looking at times, but it does add to the
Now I
story.
should say he may not have been asleep. I don't remember if he was asleep because they do have little Logan, so I don't know if he was with her or they were all still asleep. I don't know. But he called me at 6:41 in the morning
Okay.
to say that she had been laboring since 5:30.
So
And-
for like an hour.
An hour. And we had talked about like she was one of those moms where I just knew she was not going to be in labor long enough to sneeze without her baby coming out. So we were like, listen, call me right away. We'll have a game plan. Like, don't wait. Make sure you know what's going on. So when he said she'd been labor for about an hour, and I was like, okay, like that's not so bad. That's
I'm trying to remember
fine.
how long her first labor was.
Not long.
Yeah.
It was like 3 or 4 hours or
Okay.
something.
Oh wow.
So, so I said, I was like, oh, an hour. Okay, cool. Like, that's not a big deal. Everything's just starting. We'll have plenty of time. And he's like, oh, I don't really know how far apart they are. But then when Dakota was like, you should time these, they were 3 minutes apart and a minute long.
Oh goodness.
And I was like, right now? Like, now they're doing that? Or like, in a bit they'll be doing that? And he was like, no, they are.
Now.
It's happening. And I'm
Yeah.
like, listen, I need you to get in your car. Don't let her do that thing where she sits on the toilet. Because, you know, they won't get up. They'll just have her baby in the bathroom. Just, you get her to the car. I'll meet you in 45 minutes. So that's what we agreed to do. I'll meet you in 45 minutes. There was no pushing. There was nothing. Nothing
Yeah.
at all. So they get in their car. And at 7:08, he calls when they're en route to say that they had hit traffic.
Oh my
Because
goodness.
they're in West Virginia, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
They had hit traffic, dead stop traffic. And
Was it on 81?
No, they did not, thank God.
Oh,
They did not
okay.
get on 81. So there was time to turn around, but she told me later that she did feel like
She was
I'm
gonna
pushing
push.
in the car, like it's happening. So instead of saying to him, hey, Jordan, I'm pushing our baby out in the car, she goes, turn around. Turn around right now.
Go home.
Right, and so they called to say that Dakota didn't feel like they would make it to the center.
Oh my gosh.
So that's what I wrote in her chart, but to hear her later say, oh, listen, Kim, I
Was holding
was
this kid until we got
absolutely
back to the
about to
house.
push. So then that was at 7:08. So they made it home.
Yeah.
And she goes to get in the bath, and I'm like, I'm speeding to them. I'm trying to get there. And he said that he had no idea that she was about to have the baby. She had not said,
oh my goodness,
we're going to have the baby. I'm having the baby. It was just, she was just very intense, and it was so fast.
But some of our moms say when it's like that, they can't say anything.
Right.
Like they're like, in their head, they're saying things, but they can't physically get it out of their mouth.
So he, what? I missed it.
Sorry.
What did you
She said, I'm saying a lot of really awkward things on this one.
It's a good thing I was reading while you were talking, so I didn't hear it.
It's fine.
So he said later that when she was in the tub, I guess, or getting in the tub or trying to get in the tub, and he could hear her push. Like he heard her bear down.
No, her is probably like,
It was probably cute, glitter probably fluffed out, like little rainbows shot around the bathroom. And then he was probably like, oh my God, babe, you are so cute right now. Because that's how they talk to each other. I can't even take it. They're just like Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure when they talk to each other, and it's just stinking cute. Look at
stoners. Though.
They're not stoners.
That is not what I think of when I think of them talking.
No, they're just like
all.
the cutest little 80s couple ever. Like his hair is just, I have the comment about his hair later, but he said, I heard her push and I tried to drag her to the bed. Is what he said. And I'm like,
oh, no.
Jordan, one does not just drag a woman in labor.
Either you
anywhere.
leave them where they are or you carry them. There's no drag.
Yeah, no. And so she was stepping out of the tub, if I remember what he was saying, and she she really went to push, but her water hadn't broken yet. So he's like, he said in my mind, like her water did not break, and so I thought her water was breaking. I thought like something like that was happening, but no, the baby was coming out, and she wasn't. She was just like
in it.
She just had no. She's like, I didn't even expect that to happen.
Yeah.
I just pushed. And he just came out. And so I said, where?
Like, in a hand, in
where,
a towel,
right,
on the
like
floor.
under the, where did the baby, because when I got there, she was on the bed. So he had gotten her to bed. And he goes, so I get in the room, and I was like, oh, you're on the bed. Oh, you made it. He goes, no. So then he tells me, and I said, well, where did he come out? And he like does this, and then he points, he goes, right there, about an inch from the mat. Almost made it.
So the baby just fell on the floor.
And I was like, okay.
Well, we're just going to take a look at this call.
Because when they called me, he had already come out. Like, there was no, like, I think the baby is coming.
There was no time for a phone call.
No. So he's like, he just came out. And I was like, oh my God. And so I was like, oh my God, you failed in the only job you had. And he started laughing.
I'm sorry that my wife is so good at this. I don't even know what's happening.
And I was like, I'm kidding. And he goes, listen, I had no idea she was doing
We
that.
actually probably need to add that into our precipitous labor talk. Don't think water is going to give you a heads up. Like, their water could break.
Yeah.
Not at all. Or at the last
keep
minute.
your hand down there.
Yeah.
So he was just so funny because he was like, I can't believe it. I can't believe he just fell out. And I was like, well, what did you do next? He goes, I just scooped him up real quick. And I was like, oh my God, you're so cute. And then he started crying and it was fine. And I was like,
I thought you meant he started crying with the baby.
But it was just so funny. And poor Dakota's like, oh my God, my poor baby fell on the floor. And I was like, listen, let me tell you how many times my babies have fallen to the floor.
Or how many, they're basically getting squeezed to an equivalent amount of pressure as they're coming out. They're fine.
How many babies have shot out of a vagina and hit the bottom of a tub?
Yeah.
And then we're like,
so many.
We're like, oh.
The ones that I always think are cringe is when they get them by the cord. That's the ones that get me. Like, let them hit the ground and grab them by the cord. It's like, bleh.
So then I guess he then helped her to the bed, but then he called, and this was a moment for me, like the one you had when he said, there's a lot, the baby's here,
right.
he's okay, but she's bleeding a lot, and I was like, my whole insides were
you just got cold.
Okay. Yeah, and I was like, okay, I need you to tell me how much is a lot, and he was describing, and it was a good bit, it was a good dump, when her placenta released. And so he was so calm. He was so chill.
I think also in that moment,
you go into whatever mode.
Yeah, well,
not everybody.
Mode, but also, if you don't have a context for, you can acknowledge that it's a lot, but if you don't understand, what the implications of that are necessarily, it might not connect exactly, what's going on. But your adrenaline's like rushing at that point.
Yeah.
So,
but he was like so calm, and it was more like, dude, there is a lot of blood, and I was like, dude, how much blood are we talking? So it was like talking to.
I'm gonna meet you where you're at. I'm not gonna panic if you're not panicking.
And so he's describing it to me, and I'm like, is it like a period amount, or is it like, is she gushing? Like, is it like gushing out of her like a faucet? And he goes, it's pretty faucety. And I was like, ugh.
I think they'd have to be like video chat me right now. Like, I think I would just have to like see it.
I think we had said like, so I just went right into, listen, if she continues to gush like that, you're going to have to call 911, and I will do my best to meet them there to see if I can stop it before she has to go to the hospital. But I'm not going to let you have that amazing experience and then bleed in your bed. Like, we're not going to do that.
Good catch.
So he's like, thank you. He's like, okay, what do you want me to do? So I'm just like, listen, I need you to get the Chuck's pad or a towel. I need you to get it. I need you to scoop away from her vagina. I need you to pull it away. I need you to look at her vagina. And he goes,
her placenta was out at this point, right?
I don't remember.
Oh, okay.
No. Her placenta had not. I don't think her placenta had come out yet. That's a good question.
So it's probably a sizable
separation.
Yeah, it was a good one. When I saw it, I was like, how were you so calm?
Yeah.
Because birth workers would have been like, ah!
Yeah.
And he was just like totally chill. Hold on. Pausing. Yeah, her placenta came out after. I think I helped her placenta out. So, okay.
So obviously there's a lot more you can do in that situation. As the placenta was out, you could tell him to do certain things.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So if you're still waiting for the placenta,
yes, there was no way for
you're pretty
him.
limited on what you can do
right.
at that point.
But he was so chill. So he's like, her vagina looks great. Or something like that.
Of course of course it does.
Fast forward to, I said...
When I say that to people, they think I'm weird.
Yeah.
But when he says
no, everything they do is perfect. It doesn't matter. He could have passed gas on the phone and just let it rip. And I'd be like, Jordan, that was the cutest fart I have literally ever heard.
You also are the worst judge of that because you love farting.
I do. It's
so that
favorite
doesn't even
pastime.
count.
So, but fast forward later, I was like, well, I'll just check your vagina and make sure that there's like no tears. And it was really fast. He goes, oh, her vagina looks, like I saw it.
I checked it already.
And I was like, oh, well. So you helped the baby out. You managed the hemorrhage and you did a perineum check. And he goes, I mean, it looked great when I looked at it. I'm just saying, I did notice. And I'm like, of course.
We call those doodlas.
He is so on point. So it was a lot though. So when I got there, and she just posted these beautiful pictures of her on Instagram. Like,
I guess
I'll show you.
Now. Okay.
She just looks radiant. Like you could just see everything that I'm talking about right now. So it's a lot. Like the baby came out, and he had to like help the baby up, got her to the bed. He's managing, like he's doing the hemorrhage stuff, and then in all that, he's just like. Do, and I'm like, wow, you are so calm. He goes, yeah, dude, what are you going to do? Panic? You're not going to panic.
I'm
helping my wife here. Like, that's my job. And I'm like, I just love him so. I love him, but I can't. So the placenta came out, and I will say it was a very good amount of blood, but it did stop. And he was like, so I'm like speeding, and I'm like 2 minutes away, and I'm like, Jordan, I don't know if you should call I think I'm going to have you call.
Yeah,
and he
goes,
goes,
hard you can't
he goes, where are you? And I tell him, he goes, you are 2 minutes away. Just drive faster. And I'm like, okay. So we're just like in it together. And I get there.
I want him to be my life coach.
Oh my God. And she's just radiant, and this baby is just laying on her chest, and he's just so perfect. And so the placenta comes out. We get her all cleaned up, and she's laying there, and they're just
making goo-goo eyes at each other.
So then all this is going on, right? Like, mind you, he finds her in labor, realizes my wife's about to push out my kid. No, you haven't called the midwife. Let me take over. He does all this stuff. And then Dakota goes, Kim, do you know what he was doing 2 minutes before we got in the car? Do you know why we weren't in the car 2 minutes earlier? And I was like, no. Doing his damn hair. He was in the bathroom while I'm about to push this baby out, and he's doing his hair. And he goes, I mean, dude, yeah, look at it.
I mean, you have to work for this.
Do you blame me? Look how great it looks. And I was like...
I can't be my baby with my hair undid.
Right, I can't. My hair's got to be... So then, of course, in all these pictures, she's like afterbirth glow, and his hair's like, boom, spot on. And so...
Priorities.
So then he's got this, oh my gosh, his adorable little brother. And I'm like, he's the one that I was telling you about. He was like, hey, is that your car? Is that your truck?
Oh, that's when I was hitting on you and like a
He
really
wasn't-
cute, not creepy way.
Not hitting on me, but definitely like,
So
hey,
we're connected somehow. I
yeah,
don't know how, but we are
yeah. Look
connected.
at, is that your truck? You drive a truck? Oh, I thought you were cool before, but you are definitely cool now. I'm like, so then we're all downstairs, like their siblings are down there, and Katie and I, and he's like, so.
You come here often.
Right. How often do you come to this? I'm like, how old are you? How old are you? And he
14
goes,
months.
14. No, he goes, old enough.
Oh my god.
Not
Katie goes, old enough for what? And he goes, to do whatever I want. I said, good. Get your happy little ass up and do those dishes over there. And he goes, that's cool. That's fair. And he gets up and walks away. Dakota's like, watch out, he's gonna follow you to your truck. And I'm like, I'm gonna put him over my knee here in a second. What are you doing, little
You
man?
might like that. You might have to invest in a taser.
So then we decided that we were all just soulmate family forever,
Yeah.
and we looked at all their wedding pictures, and I can't.
It's too
No.
much.
So
Too much
cute, and they're
cuteness.
just perfect.
Well, as
And
much as you love gushing about them, it's definitely time for us to wrap up this episode.
I gushed about them like her uterus gushed
Yes.
her postpartum. blood.
Yes.
Yeah. It's
So-
like effervescent.
I'm gonna stop talking about the people I love so we can end the episode.
So as we're wrapping up the episode, we do want to say that sometimes we do miss births, and when we do, it's because usually things are going very fast.
Or people feel really confident in their skills, or they don't realize they're in labor.
Either way, fantastic.
But every birth I've ever missed was fantastic,
Yeah.
and everything worked out and was super healthy. So try not to be scared about that if it does happen to you. And it's not the majority of cases, even though sometimes our podcast may sound like it is.
And just know.
Even though Meredith missed 3 in a week, that's fine.
This week it was the majority of cases.
Yes, it was
This
above
the
and
week
beyond the majority.
of missed births. But the only other thing that we have to say is to all you dads and moms who have cat your own babies out there, cheers.
The clinking at the end is always so awkward. I can hit pause, like stop, right?
Stop.